Hi, I'm Mark Lawson, president of the ECS Publishing Group, and today we are honored to have a chance to visit with composer Kyle Pederson. Kyle lives in Minneapolis and has written several wonderful pieces for our catalog. So welcome, Kyle.
Thank you. Good to be here.
I wanted to visit with you about your new piece entitled Bend. It has an original text, and I'm wondering if you could talk about your thoughts and the process of writing this text, because it's very unique.
So I wanted to write a piece that would sort of explore this idea of bending and a little vulnerability, but also combine that with an invitation to bend with people, to join and surround the people who are grieving, who are struggling, who are facing difficulty, join with them in community and support, knowing that there will be an other side of that where we will, in some real sense, rise again.
Did you start this pre-pandemic or during pandemic?
That's the interesting thing, is that it was about a year pre-pandemic that I was noodling on the keyboard and just sort of thinking about these things. And it's just remarkable how every once in a while you end up writing something that ends up being especially resonant a little bit later.
Yeah. Well, you've written extensive program notes and some performance suggestions for the conductors, but talk a little bit about how you wanted to treat this very beginning of this piece.
The way I've written the beginning, it's a fairly dry, stark beginning. It just starts right with the word bend, with the supporting ooze underneath. And it occurred to me through the creation process that wasn't giving the audience or the listener a whole lot of prep time or time to sort of ease into this idea of vulnerability. And I thought it would be more effective if the choir singing could set a mood, sort of set an environment, and allow the listener to sort of get themselves into that environment. So one of the sort of the most obvious option is to simply speak the text ahead of time. And even the most articulate choirs who really articulate the words, it's just always difficult in a choral setting to get all the poetry and all the text. So prep the listener's ears by speaking the text while the choir is simply humming or oohing those initial four measures. So that's one very simple way of sort of getting into the piece. But I've also thought about, if the choir has access to screens or video elements behind, some powerful visuals. You could run images of trees bending or people gathering around each other to sort of set that environment. The recording choir, when they performed this piece, they had one of their students who had been through a really, really trying, difficult time step out as the choir began to underscore with the ooze. And he told his story of grief and how the choir had gathered around him to support him. Just a really poignant moment to set the mood and then allow the rest of the piece to unfold and the audience to really then enter in.
Yeah. Wow, that is powerful. There is a YouTube out there of where you I think you were involved in the process of making this mini movie in a way, representing this piece. Were you involved in that? And tell me about how that went.
Yeah, I got a chance to pick out all the images, and then instead of taking a course on how to actually sync everything together, I turned that particular piece over to a videographer friend of mine, but I got a chance to pick out all the images. Whenever I create something, almost always there's sort of a movie visual running in my head as well, like what I'm seeing as I'm creating or what I might hope the audience sees or experiences. And the chance to sort of bring that to life in a music video is just really, I just love that sort of additional creative element. And I also like the idea of providing choirs, especially school choirs who might do this, additional resources and handles on this. So it's not just singing a piece of music, but they could also look at a video and sort of participate in it and see other ways that it might come to life. And in particular with this the pandemic, I think it was maybe June or so when I had this idea, and I'm part of a church worship planning committee, and we were struggling to find good content every week and I figured lots of churches might appreciate having something that's ready to simply put up online and show that might help us lean in sort of collectively to what we're experiencing here in the various pandemics we're encountering. And some of them might prompt conversation and also might provide a little bit of comfort. So was hoping it would provide a resource for choirs and churches, and it was also just fun to create.
for those that are trying to make up their mind if they want to perform this piece or are looking toward doing it, any additional suggestions that you have or thoughts?
I love thinking about pieces as jumping off points for conversation among church choirs, school choirs, any choirs. And I think that there's so many concepts that can be explored in this particular piece. You've got concepts of vulnerability and struggle. You've got concepts of community and care, and then resilience and rising again. So I think that a couple of choirs that I know have used this as a chance to jump off into a conversation about what they want their choir community to be like. How are we going to rally around each other? What will the ethos of this choir be? And I mean, I'm honored that this piece could be a part of that, but that's one particular way. And there's just some musical things too that I did a very intentional job about symbolizing some of these ideas of bending. So there's pitch bends, there's accelerating into certain areas and then ebbing off and decelerating to kind of get the idea of trees bending and swaying. And so there's that element. Modulations that are intentionally sort of timed to help bring alive the piece. So there's lots of things, both text and musically, that conductors could dig into with their students.
It's a very evocative piece, I think. I think it's wonderful. Well, you're doing wonderfully creative work, and I just hope you keep it up. Thank you for all you do, and thanks for this piece.
Thanks so much, Mark. Appreciate it.